The tree outside could somehow be a reflection of the transformation inside. It's women helping women, as only women can. I'm LaTonya Norton. That's coming up in this episode of Arroyo Now. And we are here with Lindsey Reed, who's the director of the Women's Room here in Friends Indeed. Lindsey, thank you so much for being a part of our program. And first of all, before we talk about the Women's Room, tell us about Friends Indeed, because I understand there are several programs within the organization.
Yes, thanks so much for having me.
Of course.
So Friends Indeed is a 130-year-old nonprofit organization in the city of Pasadena. We serve the unhoused and at-risk community. There are 5 different programs at Friends Indeed, starting with our food pantry, which serves over 500 households a week, giving out fresh food, produce, meat, all sorts of great things to low-income households. Then we have our eviction prevention and rental assistance program, which serves people who are at risk of becoming homeless and trying to keep them housed before they get onto the streets. We also have our street outreach and housing navigation programs. So that's the team that goes out and does outreach, and then also has housing navigators that help people navigate the systems into getting permanently housed. We have our bad weather shelter. That's really well known in the city. We partner with the city of Pasadena to operate that. That's been going for the last 35 years or so. And we were able to resume that this year after a break from COVID, where we did a motel program instead. But this season we reopened our congregate shelter at Trinity Lutheran Church. And we're able to sleep 50 people there a night. They get a hot meal and a place to sleep during inclement weather.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then lastly, we have our Women's Room. We turned 16 last year, and we are a day refuge for homeless and at-risk women to come, receive basic services, have a safe place to be, and be in community.
So whether you're in need of food, whether you're in need of shelter, rental assistance, utility bill assistance, whatever it is, you can find it here at Friends Indeed.
Yes.
And over a century old.
Yes.
That is absolutely amazing here in the city of Pasadena. Now, how did you come into the Women's Room? How did you become the director?
I started out at Friends Indeed as a volunteer at the bad weather shelter about 8 years ago, then became a seasonal employee, then sort of part-time doing some consulting work for all of the programs. And then I quit my job with no backup plan and came to Friends Indeed and said, is there any opportunity for me, here to do a little bit more? So I started out as a senior program manager, assisting in all of the programs, which is great. I loved it because it gave me a great background and foundation and learning more about everything that we offer. And then an opportunity came up January of 2023 for me to become director of the Women's Room, which is my favorite program. I love it so much. I love what we do here. So I'm just over a year in.
Tell me about the Women's Room.
I'd love to. We are a day refuge for homeless and at-risk women, and that means they can be on the streets, they can be recently housed, and come here for just community and assistance still. We offer basic needs services such as showers, laundry. We have a nap room. We offer toiletries, anything you need to really just survive as a woman. And on top of that, we offer community holistic programs like art programs, writing programs, back to work workshops, mental wellness programs. We have a psychologist come in, and we really just try to help these women and feed their souls too, so that they can not just survive but thrive here.
Wow, this is amazing. Some of the work that you all are doing, catering to women who are either unhoused or run the risk of being unhoused, living in public spaces. Am I correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm. And then we also have a lot of women who have been recently housed, who, once your priority is no longer figuring out how to survive every day, what's next? where do you go from being chronically homeless and being on the streets? And so we provide a space for those women to come back to get help with navigating how to pay bills, navigating how to get back into the workforce, to be a contributing member of society after they haven't been and they've felt invisible for so long. So we really provide that space where they can come back and just really ask for help with anything. Every day here is different. Sometimes there's questions that I get that I'm like, oh, I've never done that before. Let's figure it out together. And just being that space where they know they can come here. They know they're welcome and they have friends here that want to help them.
Tell me about some of the differences you've seen this space make in women's lives.
Oh, it's life-changing. I think we'll be able to hear from some of our guests later. But one of the most basic ones is when they can come in and shower. We call it their Wonder Woman transformation. I think everybody, if you haven't had a shower in a couple days and you're just kind of feeling dirty and you're not in your best clothes, they can come in. They've got all their bags. If we've been closed for a couple days or the weekend, they've got all their things. They haven't seen anybody. They haven't talked to anybody maybe in a couple of days. They haven't had a warm meal. They come in, they set their things down. They get to shower, get some new underwear and socks, pick out some clothes that have been donated and shoes. So now they've got a new outfit on. We have a dressing room downstairs where they can do their hair. We have hair supplies and products, things that they can use to get ready. They come up, they get a cup of coffee, and everything changes. That hardness, that presentation that they have to survive out on the streets just melts away, and they get to be themselves. They get to start exploring things that they want to do. There's so many amazing artists that we have. Their art is all around the women's room. They love to write. They love to express themselves. And they don't get to because they're just focused on trying to stay safe on the street. So that's one transformation that we see every day.
Sure.
And then the lifelong transformation that they get once they are ready to say yes to us helping them. They're ready to transform their lives and to get help, whether that looks like rehab, permanent housing, temporary housing, whatever that looks like for them, we'll walk with them through that. And we've watched women get housed, get clean, have a permanent place to live, start to become advocates for people who are homeless, start to use their voices and gain that confidence. And that's all come from being in this place and having roots here.
How did this room come about?
This room was started by a community of women from All Saints Church.
Okay.
And they were out doing outreach and just realized there's a need. There's a large population of women who are homeless in this city. You'll see poppies everywhere around the women's room. The poppy is the symbol of the women's room because a group of ladies were doing outreach and they found a community of women living under a bridge, and they had a cardboard box with a cloth over it and a tin can with some poppies in it. And it struck them, and they carried that with them, that women not only want to be in community, but they want to make their space beautiful too. So they started the women's room. It started out with just some volunteers a couple of days a week, and it's grown into this beautiful program. We are so reliant on volunteers. We've got dozens of them that help welcome our guests, serve them food, help us make toiletry bags, receive donations, all sorts of things like that. And so it's just grown so much in the last 16 years.
You mentioned a little bit earlier, socks, underwear, shoes, basic needs, a shower. These are all things that so many of us take for granted every single day. We don't even think about it. We just go about our regular lives. But these are the very things that are bringing these women respect, dignity, empowerment. There's love, there's support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so glad you said those words because our three main words that we, the whole organization, Friends Indeed, but we really strive to embody these in the women's room are compassion, connection, and dignity. And we see all of those play out every single day through our staff, our volunteers, and even the women themselves. But this place really does inspire dignity. And we really try to provide this connection that they have. You're going to make me cry too. This connection for women that when they come in here, we know their name. We see them for who they are. We know to check in. How was that appointment last week? Did holding them accountable when they feel like nobody else cares, they know that we care. And that's what we really love to provide here.
And not only the compassion and support, but the wraparound services. We're going to help you get trained for a job. We're going to help you help yourself. I think that's very important. We're going to give you some of that, whether it's job skills. Touch on that a little bit more, because of course I can feel the love in these walls. The compassion is here, but we also have to make sure they're ready to get out into the workforce or whatever it is they need.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a new workshop that we're offering. I was sharing with some of the team earlier. Mm-hmm. We had 16 women get housed last year, which is partially due to the incredible work of our street outreach and housing navigation team. And we had the Salvation Army Hope Center open up, which is a 66-unit complex on Walnut and just next to Lake Avenue. And so we were able to get a lot of our women housed in there. And then what? Yeah. They're housed and they're like, okay, what do I do now? I'm not trying to hang out with the people I hung out with at the park every day. I want to move forward with my life. And so just this year we started responding with, okay, how do we help you do that? So we've brought in a career coach, and she comes in and she helps them review resumes, do job searches, try to identify maybe areas that they want to explore and look into, interview practice, all sorts of stuff like that. Anytime we have job openings or postings that we hear about, we post it on our resource board so that they can look for things like that. And then just encouraging them, let's go, let's apply to this. I think you have these skills, really building up their confidence for that too. I really, really try to encourage them to journal so that they can look back and see how far they've come in 6 months, in 2 months, in a year. But once they're ready to say yes and start making progress, they're truly unstoppable. They just need that to take that initial step. What are some of the unique challenges of women who are unhoused? Safety would be a huge one. The amount of trauma that comes in here from fearing for their lives just out on the street. We have an elderly woman who's in her 70s who all night stands under a storefront and just stands up all night and doesn't sleep because she's petite, she's alone, and she just is scared that she's going to be attacked. It's a very common, almost daily occurrence that our women get robbed, constantly getting their phones, IDs, important documents, things like that taken from them. And that's something they come in here, we can help you reapply, it's okay, we can get you another ID, we can get you another social security card, things like that. But safety is a huge one. Just being able to take care of yourself. Where else can you go to shower where you feel safe? Park bathrooms are not safe for you, and they don't get you everything you need. The water's cold, you have to hold the faucet down just to get the water out. How do you bathe? How do you get clean? How do you take care of your hair? How do you take care of your feminine needs? Just things like that. The women's room is the only women's only shelter in all of San Gabriel Valley. A lot of other places, there is some other co-ed places that they can go, but it's not the same as being here. It's our shower's safe. You're the only one in there. It's not shared. It's not a trailer in a parking lot. You can come out and you can walk right into another room to get dressed safely. There's just no risk of being attacked here, being assaulted that way. What about medical services? We don't directly provide them here, but we do offer referrals. We work closely with the Pasadena Outreach Response Team, the PORT team in Pasadena. They consist of a firefighter, a social worker, and they have a street nurse on the team that partners with Huntington Health. And they're always here anytime we need anything. They come, they'll do blood pressure checks, they'll do quick, emergency or urgent calls. So they're a great resource for us. And some of the programs that you offer within this room does kind of help with mental health as well. Greatly. Yeah, we would love to offer more. That's an area that we're looking to expand, definitely. Both physical health and mental health services here. What are some other areas? Where do you see the women's room in the future, next few years? Ooh, I love this question. I really want to expand our offerings for women to explore things that they want to do. We don't have a full kitchen here. They've expressed the want to learn how to cook. That's something for our recently housed ladies, and then also for our women who are unhoused who just loved to cook. We pulled together a cookbook and they wrote down some of their favorite recipes, whether they were passed down or whether they're their own, and they don't have the opportunity to do that. So I would love to do cooking classes, a space where they can just come in, you know, and just have a community kitchen. If they just want to cook, they can do that. They can make their own food. We are very grateful for the hot meals that we receive. We do serve them breakfast and lunch every day, but I would love to see, you know, more participation from our clientele in that, helping provide lunch for others, food for others, and themselves. That's one thing I would love. Like I mentioned before, mental health and physical health services on site. We lose people when we have to send them to another location. Even if they say, I need this, yes, I'm going to go. Once they leave, they may not go. You know, life takes over, or it's hard for transportation.
Sure.
You know, it's like, okay, here's the route. It'll take you 2.5 hours to get to where you need to go to get this service. And then just navigating the different systems is very difficult. Well, what insurance do you have? Do they accept this insurance? So things on site would just be incredible, even if it's wellness checks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned earlier, women love community. We do love to commune. We do love to check in on each other and just feed off of each other's energy. What have you seen as a result of this room? I know it all kind of started from a group of women who were unhoused together, but what have you seen develop as a result of this room when they leave out of here? Do they keep that connection?
Yeah, they do. Friendships. Safety. Some of our women have chosen to pair up or group up. Where are you sleeping tonight? Okay, let's go together. Let's go to this place and get this meal before it gets dark. Let's go do this. And that, you know, tying into the mental health of being in community, sharing your struggles, sharing your problems, and sharing your wisdom and things that you've learned. We had the opportunity to have the Rose Court, the Pasadena Rose Court, come here. We did a royal tea with them, and the ladies, the court stood up and they asked, you know, what are some things you've learned? What are some life lessons that you've learned? And the room just started exploding with all of these lessons from these ladies that they wanted to share with the younger generation. We've learned this, you know, don't do this. Don't let people sidetrack you. Stay on track. Learn about money and finances. Things like that. So we've seen wisdom be shared. We've seen if somebody doesn't know how to get somewhere, oh, I know all the bus routes. You're going to take the 32. You're going to go here, connect at Lake Avenue, get on the metro, and they help each other. And that's a space where they can help each other. Again, in here, we expect respect, kindness, and that's something that's not always happening outside of these walls, even with the people that are here. We do have to break things up a lot of the time. Not in here. We can't have that. If you want to handle that outside, you can.
Oh, really?
But they know they have to drop everything when they step inside here because this is not the space for that.
Yeah. So
we've seen that develop and just really contribute to camaraderie, like I said, safety and finding friends. They do things together outside of here. We have an art show happening right now at Vroman's. Their art is up for the month of March. And then we're going to be having a reception at the end of the month. And a couple of them leave here and they take the bus down and they go look at it together.
So art that was created here is now on display?
Yes, at Vroman's.
That's amazing. That's great. And that's got to build self-confidence and pride and self-esteem.
Yes. All of the artists have gone down individually to look at it. They've said, you know, let's go do it together and things like that. So we've seen that happen.
And I think so much of it is just knowing you're not alone.
Oh, yes.
So not everyone is an extrovert. Some people are introverts and they just want to deal with things by themselves. But to come to a space and know that these are other women who are in similar situations, that is, you know, a sense of connection in itself, to know that you're not alone.
Absolutely. And we never push people. We give people time to thaw. We have had guests that they come to the door, they ask what we have to offer, we show them, they'll take a shower and go back outside, sit there for the whole day. That's the first week. The second week, they kind of hang out downstairs. We'll bring them a meal downstairs, but they still don't come up. And they venture, it's taken a month or longer than a month sometimes for people to come in here. And then once they start to thaw, you cannot get them to stop talking. Then they're up here. And when they're not seen, when people aren't here for a little while and they come back, the other women are like, where were you? We were worried about you. Were you okay?
That's great.
And so they check on each other. They do. But just, yeah, like you're saying, knowing that they're not alone is really important.
And I love that it's right on the bus route.
Yep.
Right at the bus stop on the corner. So easy access.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Everybody knows how to get here.
Yeah.
We've got the big sign out front. They can't miss us. And then the women have their own private entrance. Once they know they're in the right place, they know that they can go around. They have a quiet patio they can sit on. They're not out, you know, right on the boulevard, just like in all the hustle and bustle of everybody else. So they have a quiet place to be.
So there's love, there's respect, there's compassion, and there's understanding. Everyone falls on hard times. There's no judgment. And there's just support.
Yes.
What else would you like people to know about this room?
Oh, it's just a really special place. It is a refuge and a sanctuary in the midst of the city that I think a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
Our doors are open, our arms are open. We need help. We rely so heavily on volunteers, so we need other women volunteers to come in who have a heart. And even if they're nervous, it's okay. Come in, get to know this community of other women. That's all it takes. You just have to be here and just be listening and be warm.
So you need volunteers, other women to come and help. What about donations?
Donations. Financial, but also tangible. We can take any hygiene items, clothing, shoes. If you love to cook, you can provide a meal for us.
Oh, that's great.
We do hot breakfast and hot lunch, and a lot of times we have to partner with, purchase lunches from local restaurants, but we love when people and groups get together and cook for us. We have groups of church groups, homeschool moms that just everybody gets together and everybody does one thing, a salad, a main dish, a side, a dessert. And it works out perfectly. So right now we're seeing about 35 to 45 women every day.
I was going to ask that.
So we ask for meals for enough for 40. Not everybody's here all day. Not everybody's here for lunch. Sometimes people just stop in to get what they need. Our all-time record we hit last year was 58 women in one day.
In one day.
Around the holidays. So we're outgrowing our space.
Yeah.
We do need, a new space eventually. We love it here. We love that it's visible close to public transportation, but we are growing.
Wow. So yeah, you do need donations. You're feeding dozens of women.
Yes.
Do women ever come with their children? Do you see moms, young moms?
We don't see a lot of moms here. We are 18 and over at this facility, but we always refer, if we do get a mom with kids, we always refer to other locations. Elizabeth House serves moms with children. Union Station has a family center. So even though we're not equipped to host that here, we always connect them and do a warm handoff somewhere else.
And obviously when you're helping people, it can be taxing. How do you and your staff keep from being disheartened in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can get more than disheartened. We can burn out.
Yeah.
But every day we always have something inspiring that inspires us. We're not discouraged when we leave this job for the most part, because even if we haven't done anything else that day, we've provided this space. Mm-hmm. There was a time this week we were down staff, we were down volunteers. We were like, what do we do? Do we close just to make this, easier for us? But we stayed open and we told the ladies, and they were so gracious with us. We just said, look, we're doing our best. We can't offer you a whole lot today, but you have a safe place to be. Yeah. We have the meals, we have coffee. That's it. And they were like, this is fine. That's all we need. Thank you so much. We're like, okay. And so that encourages us to keep going. All we have to do is show up. And as far as self-care, just making sure that we're leaving on time, making sure that we're here, we're present during this space, we debrief when we need to, a lot of communication between staff, a lot of support between staff, making sure that we take our breaks. You take your lunch and close your door. Otherwise, it's just nonstop all day.
Yeah.
We don't get that space. But we all love it. We all do it because we love it. We love these ladies. And we receive that back from them as well.
I'm sure there are many. What would be, what's the greatest success story that comes to mind when you think about the women who have come through the women's room?
Yeah. Um, there's a lot in my time here. I always think of Denise. She started coming about a month after I started, and she was living in her van with her 2 dogs. Was just trying to, kind of hustle and scrounge up money here and there where she could for gas money or to eat or provide food for her dogs. And she didn't used to come. She would come in, she would stop in and get a meal, she would leave. And we would get a lot of flower donations to the pantry from Trader Joe's. And it started with, I was walking in one day and I said, oh, I'm just going to grab this bouquet and take it up. And then I started taking a box up and a crate. And then ladies here started saying, oh, can I help you? I would just make a quick bouquet and set it on the table, set it on the stairs because I liked it. And they started asking if they could be involved. And I was like, oh, sure. We ended up buying flower supplies for them and vases and things so that they could start making these bouquets. She got involved with that. And she really took ownership of that. It's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, it's flower day. I'm coming in to do flowers. So with that, she started being around a little bit more. What do you need, Denise? What do you want to get out of your car? Oh yeah, but I've tried stuff before. It's not really for me. Okay. So then we just started talking more and more. She got housed about 6 months ago in the Hope Center. Yay. Since then, her and her dogs have been housed. She has done speaking engagements. Wow. She's done art shows. She's done all of these things. So she's one that has transformed so much and started using her voice to give back to this community. She just spoke at a national organization for people with emotional support animals so that they don't get separated from their companions. So that's like my favorite one just since I've been here. But there's been so many stories. I'm sure like Jane has been here much longer than I have. When you interview her, she's got a lot of success stories as well. Okay. But yeah, just helping women as long as whether or not they want to take the next step and be housed, if they feel like they belong here and they've found a sense of community, that's a success story in my book because they don't feel alone and they know they have somewhere to go.
That's awesome. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think we've covered everything.
What are the hours? When can people come in the days?
Yes, we're here Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Another thing I would like to see in the future, we'd love to expand our hours. I'm the only full-time staff member here. I've got 2 part-time staff. As soon as we can get a bigger team, we'd love to be here 5 days a week, even Saturdays, to provide this service for women because we're closed 3 days a week. And then it's like, where do they go?
Where do they go?
What do they do? They may not eat for a couple of days if we're not here. So that's something we'd love to provide. But we're here Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Friends Indeed. Upstairs, you'll see the women's room located at 444 Washington.
444 East Washington Boulevard.
Washington Boulevard.
On the corner of Washington and Los Robles.
Lindsey Reed, Director of the Women's Room. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And Jenny Juarez is Program Associate for the Women's Room. Jenny, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
What brought you into this work?
It was actually, it was not part of my path.
Okay.
I just ended up knowing Lindsey, the director of the program. We worked a little bit at the PCC Foundation. She was coordinator of the flea market, and we met there. And
for people who may not know, PCC Foundation is?
Pasadena City College Foundation.
Okay.
Yes. And we met there, and she knew I needed extra hours, so she brought me in to kind of give me a tour, and she's like, oh, this is what we do, and I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And then so I was working here part-time for, I believe it was 3 months. Yeah. I worked part-time and I fell in love.
What made you fall in love? Because you've been here a year now.
Yes, it's been a year. It just working at an office setting, always, not seeing anybody. You're in a cubicle, just, staring into a computer. When I came here, it took the women here just made me fall in love with them. Like, in the sense of they brought me joy. Like, I saw my position as something that was like, oh, it's just doing laundry. It's, helping them come in, introducing them to the program and welcome them in. And I thought it was like, oh, it's not a big deal, but for them it was.
Yeah.
Learning their names, having to know their needs and everything.
Yeah.
It just their warm welcoming to me was what I fell in love with.
Oh, you gave to them, but they also gave you
Yes.
a lot more.
Yes, they did. Just going that extra mile to, fulfill their needs really fulfills me too. In the sense of, I'll give you an example, kind
Sure.
of. It started with doing personal toiletries. Before we would just do like, here, a pre-packed toiletry, and we would send it to them. But then I'm like, I feel like they need more. So we did this list. I added some things and then an option for them to add as well.
Yeah.
So as more of that came in, I noticed that there are real needs and individual needs. So that's when I started getting to know the women individually and being able to serve them even more effectively.
And I love that, because so many people would look at it and say, it's just toiletries.
Yes.
It's just toiletries.
Yes.
But it's more than that.
Yes.
It's
And
personal,
yes.
And it's one of again, something that so many people take for granted. And to know that someone has packaged this for you. Tell me, what did it mean to, provide this service to these women?
It's, how do I say it? There's no words for me to explain how that made me feel. It was just more a determination of trying to get every need for them. The way they light up when I would give them, like, for example, if someone was requesting vitamins, every day they'll come and write it, vitamins. And I didn't have vitamins. And then I reached out to, like, hey, we need vitamins. And my sister's like, oh, I have a container from Costco. And then the next day, I filled it up and she had her vitamins. You got my vitamins. Oh my God. Like, it was the way she responded to just a vitamin made me realize, like, wow, this is not just a toiletry. This is really meaningful to them.
Yeah.
So that made me want to even go more and more and fulfill those toiletry needs.
Because it's not about the vitamin per se,
No.
or the toiletry per se. It's the fact that I put in a request and someone did this for me.
Yes, it's knowing that we actually care. That it wasn't just like, oh, dismiss, we don't get that. Like, no, it was like I made it my journey to try and fulfill every need, because I knew that this is how I get them to continue coming here and better in themselves and having some sense of worth, that someone does care for them, someone's here for them, and to me that was very important. When I'm not here a day, they will tell me the next day, where were you? Just having that sense it's unexplainable. The feeling that I get from them is amazing, and knowing that I'm also providing that feeling for them as well.
Can't get that in a cubicle.
Cannot get that in a cubicle.
What other impacts or transformations, just changes, can you say you've witnessed here?
I've witnessed a lot of ladies get housed, and I really, when I first started coming in, I would see ladies come and go. Sometimes I'll see them one time and never see them again. And then as I became more permanent downstairs, I felt like they were coming to see someone that they cared.
Yeah.
So they kept coming. Because they felt safe, they felt heard, and they felt that they were, this is a place where they actually care for me. And
valued.
Yeah, and valued. And and they saw, it's my mission to learn everybody's name. So I greet them with their name, and knowing that they keep coming, to me, that's what helps them, because then it's hard for them to get a routine. So once they come here, they get the routine, their shower, their bedtime, their meals, their lunches, and they're more willingly to ask for help, because they come as a closed shelf. Sometimes they don't want to talk. They don't want to, you respect their wishes. But as they come in, they start opening up, and we're able to help them more on their needs, on whether it's getting shelter or permanent housing, jobs, and stuff like that. And to me, that's what makes a big impact to me, that they keep coming here to get those services.
They come here. Go ahead.
Yeah, and and for me, if they keep coming here, then we're able to help them more, and I've seen transformations where they're getting house, they're getting jobs and stuff like that. And to me, that's already, like, for example, just right now coming in. So I saw one of our guests, and she's like, I got a place. And to me, I was like, congratulations. And to me, if we're not here doing this, they will not be coming, because they're not just a number in the system.
Yeah.
They are an individual person. And that's what everybody needs to be, seen and to be valued. So to me, that's what the impact is.
I look around, I see it looks like a library. Yeah. I know that there's art that's created here. Of course, we talked about the toiletries, there's showers. Once again, for people who may just be tuning in, walk me through the different services that are provided here.
Yeah, well, we have the nap room, which is
you can come here and take a nap?
You could come here and take a nap. We have 2-hour slots. We have 3 beds, and they all get clean blankets and sheets that they could use for those 2 hours. But obviously, if there's not that many people signing in, we'll let them sleep as long as they need it, if the slots haven't been filled. But yes, our average, since we opened that room, it took a while, but now we're averaging like around 8 to ladies using our bed services, which is a lot, considering there's only 3 beds.
That's wonderful.
Yes, so that's a good thing. And then also we have like you say, the art. But not only the art, we also have flower arrangements. We get delivery of some donations of flowers, and that's what they love to do. They do their own creative work. They fill up the whole room with flowers. They personally custom makes them for the staff, and this is for you, and it just gives them self-purpose.
Makes you feel special. Yes. Flowers makes us feel special.
Yes.
Beauty services as well.
Yes, beautiful. That's we just also opened that downstairs. We have the upstairs and downstairs. Downstairs is showers, laundry, and then our dressing room. And upstairs is where the activity room, library, nap room, and and they get to eat as well. So I put a mischief vanity with the mirror, and I provide hot tools that they could rent out, and they get their hair done. And it's amazing how they, pump each other up. Like, oh, you look so pretty. Maybe you should do your hair. Just hearing that lady talk in there, and how they look out for each other. They're forming a community. To me, that's very amazing. And that service, they shop now. They have clothing. We are getting clothing donations. I have a rack, and they could do their shopping. And I just love seeing them shop for each other, or they try it on. How do I look? How I tell them, this is your home. This is your home. It's not a place where you just come and you just use our services. No, this is your home. So I love how they look out for the place as well. Like, they maintain it clean. They want it organized. They
take pride in being here.
Yes, they give input. Oh, what about if we do this? And I'm like, well, let's try it. Their opinion matters, and I feel like that's the services that we're providing, it opens more doors for them as well.
Thank you for what you pour into these women.
Yes.
Thank you for the service you provide.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm here for them.
Well, joining us now is Jane Armbrister, who is case counselor and program manager for the Women's Room.
Yes.
Thanks for being a part of the program.
Thank you for being here.
What brought you here?
It was my mother initially. My mother volunteered at the Women's Room for 9 years.
Oh.
And it was a combination of her and a combination of me turning 30 and being like, I need to do something that matters. I very much had a big mouth about, oh, we should always help people and we should always get involved and we should always do something, and I didn't.
Oh, okay.
So then I got to this age where I was like, no, I need to actually like walk this belief set of mine.
Practice what I'm preaching.
Exactly. So I started as a volunteer in the pantry. I knew about Friends Indeed through my mother, who was a Women's Room volunteer. And so I started in the pantry. I was like, this is great. This kind of grounds me in who I am as a person more than I thought it would. And I couldn't stay away from the Women's Room upstairs. It was just like working with women, this women empowering women feeling, like I had to be a part of it. So that's how I got involved.
And what has it meant to you to be a part of this room?
It's changed who I am as a person, for sure.
Explain.
I think that when we have this exchange of energy through service or through giving, I think it kind of shifts our whole world perspective. So for me, it shifted how I saw myself in relation to other people. You know, we have this very individualized society where it's like me. And when I came here, I was like, oh no, it's us.
Yeah.
So that profoundly changed for me. My priorities changed. Like people became, being of service, showing up for people, whether it was here in my personal life, became more important to me than some other things had been. So it just kind of shifted who I was as a person.
I love that.
And kind of helped me ground myself in a more balanced kind of way of living in community.
Yeah. So not only were you pouring into these women and helping these women, this room, these women poured into you.
100%. Like, as volunteers, we would joke that we were getting more out of it than they were.
Wow. So
that it was a very selfish act to volunteer here. We would always have this joke going, and I feel the same way about staff. You know, sure, they get some basic needs met as much as we possibly can. Basic needs, emotional needs. We do our very best for them. But in return, we're also getting these other things I mentioned, this profound impact in who we are.
Yeah.
So it's a very much a two-way street. You know, it's transformative to work with someone to share that. And I think the more that we can engage in that in life and allow that, the more just overall harmony we have. So
I think that's what a lot of people don't get about giving, whether it's through money, donations, your time, your effort. You always get back. You always get something.
It's that tithing principle.
Yeah.
That what we're giving out into this world is going to come back to us tenfold. It really is just, it shifts. It just shifts things a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Getting involved and just being of service to other people in whatever way that looks.
And sometimes you get back more than you even gave.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very common. Where you're like, oh, this was like such a small thing to me. And then you'll hear from someone here like, oh, this was incredible. When I was working, I remember in the very beginning as a volunteer, I gave someone a new bar of soap that I had, and they started crying because they hadn't had their own bar of soap in a really long time. And I was like, oh, this is the reality of things. This is what I'm working in. And it's like, I did nothing. I didn't buy the bar of soap. Someone donated it. I just gave it, and their energy just, it was so much more, I felt, than the bar of soap.
that bar of soap came back tenfold.
Exactly. So it's just like, and that's the impact people are having here, and they don't even know it. You know, when they're like, oh, you know, here are some toiletries. It's not much, but like maybe it'll help, you know, pick someone up. You have no idea how much. Like the impact of small actions is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously large actions have a huge impact as well, and we love those. But at this point, I kind of feel like there's no excuse for people not getting involved at this point, whether it's through volunteering or a quick donation, because the impact is so large regardless.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't have to give a lot of yourself if you don't feel capable, if you don't have that capacity. I'm telling you one thing.
Every little thing
is really, really counts. And people, I don't think, understand that. They think if I can't give my very best, then I don't have anything to give. But best is so relative.
Yeah.
So,
and we've all been impacted in our lives by women, whether it's your mother, your sister, whatever it is, your wife. We've all had women impact our lives, and it may not be that you're giving to your family, but you're giving to someone's family.
Yeah.
And I believe that when you give to someone else, it's like with kids. Whenever I see a child that could be in any danger or whatever, I'm always going out of my way to help that child, because I know as a mom, I can't be everywhere my children are.
Yeah.
But maybe someone will help my kids.
And that's the community we've gotten away from.
Yeah.
In society, unfortunately, we've become more and more divided and less rooted in our community. At least in some, there are people who are very rooted in their communities. But in a lot of the majority we see, or the television we see, we're very separate, individualized. But it's that, well, if this were mine, taking the if this were mine mentality to this is mine. You know, we had that to have this responsibility.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what's it like to be case counselor here?
It's interesting. It's not a role I thought I would ever step into, but it feels very natural.
How so?
My favorite thing about, well, I could never pick a favorite thing about this program, but something I do love is one-on-one exchanges with people, and getting to bear witness and hold space to what's going on with them, to what's happening in their lives. It's a really fulfilling part of service for me. So case counselor, we do practical things, which are important and feel good. But we also get to do the listening sessions. For me are just like, yum, yum, yum. Like they're so great. That's the only way I could describe it, is it's so nice to have someone confide in you and know that you are actually able to show up for them. And it is often just listening, which is, it's incredibly renewing. So I do love that. Case counseling is great. It's hard because you run up against a lot of red tape. And you want things to happen quickly for people, and it's a very slow process, and there's a lot out of your control, which is an awful feeling. I think we could all relate to not liking these things out of our control, but it also gives us a time to be still with each other and just listen. Being seen and being heard. And in speaking with Lindsey talked about so many of the women who are unhoused feel invisible. Yes. How important is that one-on-one you spoke of? To me, it's extremely important. Yeah. I think that because someone is listening to me, right? I'm not invisible. You want to completely shatter that feeling of invisibility. Sure. Because if we feel invisible, we don't feel empowered. We don't feel like we can advocate for ourselves. I think a lot of hopelessness creeps in. Even as women who are not unhoused, we are treated as we are invisible sometimes, whether it's with age. There you go. Or anything like that. We become, if we don't have something that can be like commodified, then we're invisible. And because a woman is unhoused, she's not seen. Yeah. You know, not seen as like an incredible, powerful person who can make change when looked at and heard. And you feel that, and you internalize that. And that can sometimes create certain behaviors that you wouldn't even
have had you felt validated or seen.
And absolutely. And, you know, like I'll ask people sometimes, like, what are your hobbies? Like, who are you before these circumstances? Like, okay, so you're unhoused, but like, who are you? And, you know, when you're unhoused, you don't get to talk about your hobbies. You don't get to engage in them. You know, you don't have the space because you're trying to survive.
Right.
So I think getting to do a one-on-one and say to people like, you really should, like, let's do some art. Or that's really insightful of you to say. Like, I think validating women empowers them.
Sure.
And so that is one of my favorite aspects of getting to do a one-on-one.
Yeah. You mentioned bureaucracy. What are some other challenges of your job?
I think challenges could also be personal barriers that a woman might have, whether it's mental health, whether it's substance abuse, any kind of fear, any kind of trauma. They can present real barriers. So, and it's very complex.
How do you break down those walls?
I don't try.
Yeah.
I don't really try because I don't want to come up against resistance. I kind of just exist. So if you keep that open space, like the old Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Keep up that open space and be like, okay, it's here if you need it.
Yeah.
Like, good morning. If you want to like come into this space and start to let your guard down. And we see it a lot. It takes people time.
You have to build the trust.
Absolutely, you do. Yeah. It's not just something that's, you know, guaranteed or that you can assume like, oh, I'm being nice, these people will respond. No, because we all have traumas.
And that wall or that trauma, whatever that thing is there for a reason.
Yeah, it's protecting them.
Yes.
So I'm not going to go in and try and like tear down their safety, but I do think that
something put it there.
Yeah, so holding a space.
Yeah.
I feel the whole program is energy is important to us because we want to create an actual space, an emotional space, spiritual space, physical space. Because sometimes we're just too tight. These addictions, mental health, they put us in small boxes. Trauma shrinks us. So just having a place of safety and an open exchange of energy, I think, helps people to, you know, of their own volition, find out when they're comfortable dropping those guards, you know.
And time.
Time is a big one, which is also frustrating because we want to help people right away, have things move, but
it takes time.
This process takes time. And that's why when I started doing this work, I threw out everything I knew about measuring success, because I thought success was very concrete steps. When asked for success stories, we go, okay, well, this person did this, this, and this, and then they were housed. Yeah. But the success story can also be, this person said something to me that they have not said to anyone in 5 years.
And that's a breakthrough.
And that's the success there. Yeah. So we started the success might be, someone got a laugh out of something another woman said here that they wouldn't have had. It's micro successes for sure.
But it matters. What do you love most?
That's so hard.
About your job?
That's so hard. Different things satisfy for a different reason, but I do love celebrating with other women. So celebrating women and then us as women celebrating together. And
what are some of the things that
we do parties.
Okay.
We do.
Let me know when.
We do tea parties. We do parties for the holidays. We watch movies together. We get silly together. There'll be, you know, the song comes on the radio and everyone starts singing it, and then there's laughter. That's my favorite part about my job, I think, maybe, is when we are all safe enough to celebrate with each other. And that's just so lucky. I'm so lucky to get to participate in that.
It's great.
Yeah.
Those magical moments when just the human spirit connects, regardless of our backgrounds, regardless of what you have or what you don't have or what you need or what I may need or don't have, just enjoying being present with each other.
Yeah, and seeing them form friendships.
Yeah.
That's what Lindsey
said too.
That's huge, yeah.
The bonds. The bond.
We need it as women.
Yes,
we
do.
need our bonds. They keep us up.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, one of my favorite things.
Anything else?
I don't know. It's always so much. It's an ongoing conversation. I would encourage people to get involved in the conversation.
Explain.
Think that, so I would say there's a stigma and a belief system about unhoused women that is very, very powerful and very, very incorrect.
What's the stigma?
Stigma is that everyone is in a group. It's all drug addiction. It's all crime. It's all mental health. These people bring crime, addiction, and mental health to our cities.
First of all, these people is not even a phrase we should use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's seeing people as just a group of nothing, of no identities.
No value.
No value. Only seeing people as a problem that has to have a solution, rather than it could be me.
But by the grace of God, go I.
Lose my job, and then what? You know, I don't have, let's say I have no family.
Yeah.
Then what?
Or it could be someone you love.
Could be anything. And the system is confusing. It's hard for people to navigate.
Yeah.
There are structural inequities. It's everything of that ilk that we have to challenge ourselves to not buy into. So I think seeing people as people is the first step in that. So I tell people, get to know someone who is unhoused, volunteer, come to a place like this and see the reality of things. Accept that people are multifaceted.
Yeah.
Because it's the stigma that has to disappear before we can really make these big strides forward in local policy, in government. We have to know that we're dealing with human beings first. And knowing human beings, it makes people more involved, have more passion for it. So I just say, get to know this community.
And that's the stigma, the very stigma that keeps people from coming forward to say, I need help. They don't want to be stigmatized. It keeps people from coming forward.
The amount of women who cry in my office on a weekly basis, I'm not a loser. I swear I'm not this person. I'm a smart person. I'm a good person. I promise you, I promise you. It's like, oh my God, that's gut-wrenching to hear someone think that because of their circumstances, we're going to assume that about them. It's like, first of all, I believe you. Second of all, you don't even have to be any of those things. You are a human being.
Yes.
And you have inherent worth and value. And you deserve to be housed and taken care of. I believe we deserve to be taken care of and take care of others in return. I feel like this is our currency for getting to be alive and live here in a beautiful place. We have to really earn it, by being good to each other.
Yeah. And everyone is worthy. Everyone is worthy.
Even people who present as very difficult.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that's their trauma. They're not necessarily a difficult individual. They've had a difficult life.
Yeah.
I don't act wonderful on my best day. On my worst days, I'm no peach.
Right.
I have not always presented myself in a way to the world that I want to be seen. I don't want to be judged for that either.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we just give each other grace?
Grace. Yeah.
Can we just do that? Anything else, Jane?
No, I've talked enough.
No,
I've talked
you have
so
been
much.
excellent. I love it. I can talk to you more, but I don't know if the producers want me to do that. So, have I left out anything or?
No, I would just encourage people to come and learn for themselves.
Come and see and learn for yourself.
Yeah, learn for yourself. It's going to change you for the better.
Yeah.
It'll impact you for the better. It'll add to your life.
It will definitely do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jane Armbrister.
Yeah.
Case counselor for the Women's Room. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And Friends Indeed is always in need of donations, large or small, and volunteers. I'm LaTonya Norton. Join us next time on Arroyo Now. you.